Welcome back, second graders. Today is Wednesday, June 10th, 2020. For this math lesson today, you're going to need something to write with and something to write on. So please go grab those materials. Awesome. So over the past few days, we've talked about what makes a rhombus and what makes a rectangle a rectangle. We know that a rhombus is a quadrilateral that has 4 equal sides. We also know that a rectangle is a quadrilateral with 4 right angles and 2 sets of sides that are the same length. A rectangle also has 4 right angles. So today we're going to be talking about a square. Now, the shapes here that you see are examples of squares. 1, 2, 3. These 3 shapes are examples of squares. Use them to come up with your own definition of what a square is. Make sure to include information about sides, lengths, and angles. So you're going to finish, just like we've done the past 2 days, you're going to finish the sentence, a square is. So go ahead, take about 2 or 3 minutes. You do not have to pause the video and write your definition of a square. Go ahead. Take about another minute. Okay. If you still need more time to come up with your definition, you can pause that video now, but we are going to start going over our answers. Okay, so let's take a look at the number of sides. Each of these shapes has 4 sides. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's take a look at the angles on these shapes. You can take a look here, see these are perfect square corners. Same thing here, these are perfect square corners. So we have right angles here. This is actually how we show a right angle. We have right angles here. And then if we turn this one a little bit, so this is the flat part, you can also see that these are right angles. So far we know that there are 4 sides, 4 right angles. And let's start talking about side lengths. I'm going to use here my tape measure just to show us our work here. But you can see I'm going to use my centimeter side, which is the opposite side. I wish I could find my ruler right now because a tape measure is not the most efficient tool to use for something like this because these objects are so small, but that's okay. All right, so as you can see here, the length of this side is about 1 inch. The top is 1 inch. This side is 1 inch and this side is 1 inch. So in this example, they're the same size. Let's see up here. It's just about 2 inches, just about 2, just about 2, just about 2. So this is the same size, and I have a feeling that these lengths will also be the same size, about 3, about 3, about 3, and about 3. So not only do they have 4 sides, but they have 4 right angles, and all sides are equal. I apologize about that noise. Let me turn off my tablet here so we're not getting bothered by the noise. So let's start coming up with our definition. Like a rhombus and a rectangle, a square is a quadrilateral with 4, I thought I turned it off, I guess I didn't. It's really bothering me now, so let me actually turn it off. There we go. With 4 equal sides and 4 right angles. Awesome. 4 equal sides, 4 right angles, a quadrilateral. What's interesting here is that a square is starting to remind me of 2 other shapes. And I hope it's starting to remind you of 2 other shapes. Because the cool thing about a square, and this is like really, really cool and one of the most important things you can take away from most of these geometry lessons, is that not only can you call a square, but a square can also be called a rhombus. Because remember, a rhombus is a quadrilateral with 4 equal sides. There are other types of rhombuses that don't have right angles, but a square is a rhombus because it's a quadrilateral with 4 equal sides. And you can also call it an equal lateral rectangle. And I want to make sure I have that wording correctly. Yep, equilateral rectangle. What that means is that it's a rectangle because it's a quadrilateral with 4 right angles and the opposite sides are equal and all of the sides are equal. So not only can you say that a square is a square, but you can also call it a rectangle and a rhombus too, which is pretty cool because it overlaps and shares those definitions. Awesome. So let's jump into some practice problems today. Here's my little poster about squares for you. A square is a quadrilateral. It has 4 right angles and 4 sides that are the same length. So now our job is to take a look at these shapes and we have to decide, is it a square? Oh, of course, I did not change this from, this is a similar problem from before. So is this a square or not a square? And explain why. I'm sorry that I didn't change this. This is annoying and I don't want it to be confusing for you, so I apologize. So is this a square or not a square? And explain why. Now remember, our explanations here are what is most important. Got it? So let's take a look at this first one. Is this shape a square? Well, it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Is it a square? No. No. It is not a square. We could probably see that from just looking at it because it has 6 sides. And squares have squares have 4 sides. So it's not one. Take a look at some of the other examples that we're going through. Can you see another one that might not be a square? This one, for the same reason. This is a pentagon, not a square, because it has 5 sides, not 4. Awesome. So now you're going to pause the video and you're going to tell me if these two shapes are squares or not and explain why. Remember, a square is a quadrilateral that has 4 equal sides and 4 right angles. So go ahead, pause the video, and tell me, are these squares? Go for it. Okay, hopefully you've had some time to go over these, so let's take a look at our work. Let's see, I'll use this color. So this first one, let's take a look here. Is it a quadrilateral? Well, 1, 2, 3, 4 sides, absolutely. Does it have 4 right angles? Yep. These angles are perfect square corners. And then, does it have 4 sides that are the same length? It does. I can tell already, but I will take out my tape measure here. I will switch it 2 centimeters, and I will take a look here. Close to 2, close to 2, close to 2, close to 2. So so it's definitely a square. So yes, it is a square because it is a quadrilateral with 4 right angles and 4 equal sides. I think the trickiest one is this last one down here. And I'm going to zoom in a little bit so we can see it really up close. So the first thing we're going to check, is it a quadrilateral? 1, 2, 3, 4. Absolutely, it's a quadrilateral. Does it have 4 right angles? And I think this is where it gets a little tricky. So I just turn this a little bit so we have one flat side. This is a perfectly horizontal side here. And if I drew a perfectly vertical side, vertical line, it would look like that. It does not match up perfectly. It's a little bit smaller. It's a less than angle. So because of that, even though it's super, super close, and you could argue with me that it is a square corner, I don't think it perfectly is. So because of that, I'm going to say that it's not a square. This would be a rhombus, because remember, a rhombus needs to have be a quadrilateral with 4 equal sides, and we can see that these sides are the same length, but it doesn't matter what type of angle is in a rhombus. It does matter what type of angle is in a square. So it's not a square. No, it is not a square because it does not have 4 right angles. So today we found out something really cool. We found out that a square can also be called a rectangle or a rhombus. There are different types of rhombuses that are not squares, but a square, as long as it has 4 sides that are the same length, can be a square as long as it has a shape is a square because it has 4 right angles and 4 sides that are the same length. So it can be called a square, a rhombus, or even a rectangle. Awesome. If you have any questions at all about this, please reach out to your teacher. We have one more lesson where we're going to be talking about 2D shapes before we jump into a couple of lessons on 3D shapes. Good luck with your exit ticket. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out, and I will be back tomorrow with another video.